Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to jump into the Player's Handbook and we're going to look at two spells that are related, Levitate and Fly. They're both magic user spells. Levitate is a second level magic user spell, which means you would get it at third level MU. We're going to take a quick look at it here. Level 2, range is 20 feet per level, duration is 1 turn per level, area of effect special, verbal, somatic, and material components, 2-segment casting time, and saving throw negates. When the Levitate spell is cast, the magic user can place it upon his or her person or upon some other creature, subject to a maximum weight limit of 100 gold pieces, that's 100 pounds, per level of experience. That is, a third level magic user can levitate 300 pounds. If the spell is cast upon the person of the magic user, he or she can move vertically at a rate of 20 feet per round. That's up and down. If cast, the magic user can levitate. If cast on another target, the magic user can levitate at a maximum vertical rate of 10 feet per round. Horizontal movement is not empowered by the spell, but the recipient could push along the face of a cliff, for example, to move laterally. The spellcaster can cancel the spell as desired. If the recipient of the spell is unwilling, that creature is entitled to a saving throw to determine if the Levitate spell affects it. The material component of this spell is a small leather loop or a piece of golden wire bent into a cup shape with a long shank on one end. So basically, Levitate just lets you go up and down. It's an tried and true staple in D&D. Between this spell and Boots of Levitation, you have a way to get up off the ground, but you can only go up and down. So we've seen this at my table. It's used to scout especially if you're in a forest area. Somebody will levitate up into a tree, for instance, then they'll move along the tree, get up to the tree canopy, take a look around, and then come back down. That's a real good way to use it. It's a good way to go up and down trees. In a dungeon, if you've got that chasm, but the chasm is part of a sealed room, the person with levitation could levitate up, push along the ceiling, get to the other side of the chasm, and then levitate themselves down. And by the weight on the spell, they could levitate carrying somebody depending on the level of the caster. So again, if we can do 300 pounds at third level, we can do 1,000 pounds at 10th level. My 10th level spellcaster can move 1,000 pounds. So easily, somebody could jump on the caster's back, they could piggyback up to the ceiling, push along, and then come back down. The other way we allow it is if somebody has to cross the chasm and there's already somebody on the other side, they could levitate holding a rope, and then the other side they can just pull them across just like a balloon. Got a variant on that coming up once I discuss the fly spell. Now, these also appear as Boots of Levitation, but that's not the focus of today's video, so I'm not going to talk about the boots today. Now we're going to take a look at Fly, Levitate's big brother. You get this spell at third level, which means you can cast it at 5th level. It's an alteration, ranges touch, 1 turn per level, plus 1 to 6 turns. Creature touched is the area of effect, verbal, somatic, and material components, 3-segment casting time, and no saving throw. This spell enables the magic user to bestow the power of magical flight. The creature affected is able to move vertically and or horizontally at a rate of 12 inches per move, half that if ascending, twice that if in a dive. The exact duration of the spell is always unknown to the spellcaster, as the 1 to 6 turn variable addition is determined by the magic user, or the dungeon master rather, secretly. The material component of the fly spell is a wing feather of any bird. It has to be specifically a wing feather. So fly lets you move in the air as if you just are able to fly, because you are, at 12-inch move, so 120 feet per round. And you're up there and you're flying about. Another great scout spell. You just fly up to the top of the tree canopy, look around, and then come back down. Or you need to see what's on the other side of that hill. Up you go, you fly around, you come back down. You are subject to attacks because it's you're not a 3-dimensional environment where anything can come at you from all sides, but it's a great spell. One thing we did at my table, we did change. 1 turn per level I love, 1 to 6 turns, that's fine. So my 10th level spellcaster would get 10 turns plus 1 to 6 more. And the caster does not know when the spell is going to expire. This to me was another one of the up yours to magic users that appears a lot in early D&D. Just a way to kind of stick it to the MU, and it never made sense to me. We played it this way when I first was running D&D, probably for the first 2 years or so we played it this way. And finally I said, well, that's stupid. Because what would happen is the caster would cast the spell and then would use it for a little while and then say, well, how long has it been? And I, as the DM, would say, well, you don't know. So he'd stop using the spell. He just wouldn't fly anymore because he'd want to risk being up 200 feet and having the spell just suddenly wear off. So what we do now at my table is we get the 1 turn per level plus 1 to 6 turns, but the spellcaster can feel within the last turn that the spell is starting to let go, and that if he doesn't do something to land, he's going to pile into the ground and take a lot of damage. I don't like the spells that kind of stick it to the MU. I think this was just an early function of D&D, and it never made sense to me, so I took it out. And then combining a levitate and a fly, a buddy of mine came up with this. He had the levitate, the ability, or magic user could levitate. He would hand somebody who had a fly spell a rope, and then he would just surf behind them or ski behind them, being towed along by the rope. So when he first proposed this in one of the games I was running, I kind of stopped a minute and I went, well, wait a minute, what that? And I went, oh my gosh, that'll work. And I thought it was hysterical. So he can just surf while being towed behind somebody who has the fly spell on them. Of course, they're subject to wherever the person with the fly spell goes, but it is a good way to use it if you only have 1 or 2 fly spells in the group. You have multiple people you have to get somewhere. You can combine it with levitate and just tow them along. Now we're going to take a look at one other thing in this side of the DMG. The DMG has a lot of explanations for various spells. In this case, it didn't have any kind of expansion or explanation for levitate or fly in the spell section of the DMG, but it did have it under the underwater section. So here we have underwater adventures, and we look under magic user spells that can be used underwater. 3rd level spell, fly. This spell will enable its recipient to swim easily at any depth desired, even if encumbered or normally too heavy to float, with a maximum speed of 9 inches. Yeah, you can use this spell and then go underwater and just kind of fly through the water. Penguins are flightless birds, but they fly in the water with their wings. You can kind of do the same thing with the fly spell, which I always thought was really neat. This rule we use as written at my table. If you have free action too, you can still fight or otherwise move underwater, and of course you still need a means to breathe. But it's a good way if you're aboard ship as a magic user. If you need to go into the water to pull somebody out or something, just fly on yourself. You could fly out to where they are, and if need be, dive into the water, use the fly underwater, pull them out, and then pull them to safety. So, and that is something we use as written, straight out of the DMG. Just another one of those little obscure rules that lurk in the DMG, and I've always liked it. So there you have it. That's all I've got today. We're looking at levitate and fly, 2 great magic user spells. By the time you get fly, your 5th level, that can be a real game changer for your 5th level magic user. Can really add a lot of literal dimension to your campaign as the characters start to be able to fly. And as the spell is written, it doesn't have to be the spellcaster who's flying. You can cast it on the tank, who can then go ahead and beat something up and then fly back to you. So there's a lot of different ways to use both of these spells. I love the idea, by the way, of the big bad evil guy at the end of a game, and you decide to try a levitate, and you hit him with the levitate, and if he fails the saving throw, you can just pop him up 10 feet in the air, and he can't control it. He can't go up or down as he wants. He's kind of just stuck there. So you can just kind of levitate him up there, leave him there, finish off his minions, and then go deal with him. Another pinata moment in D&D. But there you have it. I hope you liked the what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Take a look at the Patreon. Help me out there. And that's all I've got today from page 121. Bye.